Hey, what's up everyone out there? It's your friend Backspace. In today's episode, we feature my friend, Jonathan Valdez, better known as DJ Akshen. He's one of Arizona's premier DJs. His creative mixing and crowd-pleasing selection proved why he was crowned Regional Red Bull 3-Style Champion in 2015. Akshen went on to represent Phoenix and compete for the USA title, where he won his qualifying round and was top 5 in the nation that year. He shared the stage with Lord Finesse, the Egyptian Lover, the Executioners, Cuber, and Z-Trip. Aside from performing, you can find him hosting Fader Manners, an open turntable monthly that he co-founded, as well as the Scratch Exchange, an all-vinyl scratch battle he created in 2013, and most recently, Cut the Weight in 2019. As you can see, Akshen has had the privilege of judging, hosting, competing, and organizing multiple DJ battles. Akshen is also a member of the Furious Styles crew, an international collective of b-boys, artists, and DJs who have been educated and sharing hip-hop culture for over 25 years. Let's dig a little deeper and see what gems we have to uncover. What up everyone? It's your friend Backspace, and I'm honored, privileged to be here with the homie DJ Akshen. Spreading some knowledge, gonna share some information with you guys all. So here goes, we're just gonna shoot with the questions. How's it going? Everything all good?
Oh man, blessed. Extremely blessed. Continuing to fight stress, make more out of less, and always be your best.
So right, we're just chilling here, you know, on the ship. DJ Akshen happened to be performing here, you know, for that New Year's party. It was a blast. You'll probably see some of that footage there. But let's get right to it. DJ Akshen, how was that name born? How did it come to be?
Wow, my brother actually gave me that name kind of on a side note. It kind of sounds bougie, but my mom worked at a hospital and knew a doctor who let us ride on his yacht, my whole family, my dad, my brother, me, and we were in Marina Del Rey in Cali. And we're pulling into the marina, and there was this huge yacht, and it said Action 3, spelled normally A-C-T-I-O-N 3, and out of the side of my brother's mouth, he's just like, yo, DJ Akshen, and I was like, yo, and he's like, DJ Akshen, I go, yes. So we kind of pointed, and so from that point on, I was like, that's me, that's who I'm gonna be. But I knew a bunch of taggers and writers and stuff, so we wanted, for me, always wanting to be different. We started writing it, and one of my homies wrote it A-K-S-H-E-N, and that's when I saw it, I was like, yo, that's how I'm gonna write it. That was about 86, maybe 87 at that time, and that's pretty much how the name Akshen kind of came to fruition. But more than anything else, it actually depicts my style of DJing, that I'm always doing something, I'm always in action. It's not just standing there. I'm either moving, I'm cutting, scratching, doubles, beat juggling, whatever I can possibly do on the turntables to show that I'm action, I'm giving you action.
Yo, I like it, and that's what he does, believe me, yo. All right, so I got some questions right here. I'm gonna just read them to you. Let's see what you got. All right, you started as a popper breaker. What was it about that in DJing that called you? But so it was popping, right? Or popping and breaking?
Yeah, it was popping and then breaking first, or popping first, I should say. And then my brother, originally what happened was he brought home some turntables and records. And I was like, what is this all about? And he said, I'm gonna be in a DJ crew, I'm gonna start DJing. And this was early 80s too as well, probably 84, 85.
Yeah.
And so he started bringing him records and stuff, and because I wanted to know what music was playing or what I could actually pop to or dance to, I was always going through his records and just kind of like, you know, like a little brother does, tagging along.
Yeah.
And so eventually I wanted to play my own music or play the records, and he had left his room, left the turntables, and I went in and I snuck into his room, and I started pressing everything, trying to turn everything on. And what happened was he came back, saw what I was doing, and beat me up like the little brother, like a big brother does to a little brother.
Yeah.
But eventually showed me the foundation of being a DJ, how to blend two records together.
Yeah.
He showed me that first, and I fell in love with it. And from that point on, I tagged along, asked questions, wanted to practice, wanted to be around that whole environment, that whole aura, that and the foundation was always hip hop, and that's what we always look to in terms of our mixing style and scratching two records, extending the break, things of that nature. That's where kind of the basis of it all started from.
Yeah, that's dope. All right, so I got here. What is it that you enjoy or dislike in what you do now versus when you first started, or within your journey?
I think what I enjoyed back then, I think, is the newness, the freshness of it. It being something new, scratching and plugging turntables and digging for records, vinyl records. I think that was always an allure to me as a youngin, and wanting to be a part of that. It was something new. I mean, hip hop itself, is not that old. You're looking at 40, maybe not even 50 years old. DJing as well, not very old. So being part of something that kind of fresh and new as a kid was something that really attracted me to that. And the camaraderie, just being with your crew, and being with my older brother and all the homies, and just that itself was something special to me growing up as a kid. What I didn't like back then was lugging records. I mean, we're talking 5, 6, 7, up to 10 crates of records, lugging that everywhere I go. The loading of that was that sucked. Bottom line. Yeah. What I like nowadays is the fact that I don't have to lug records. The fact that everything is digital, and I can take my library with me to go to a gig, when I travel. The cost of records on planes, man, that cost a lot when we had to ship records back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Luggage, right? Luggage fees.
Oh, luggage fees are crazy, and they're even more expensive now. So thank God we don't have to do that. So that's the thing I like about that. The dislike, I think, now about it is that the access of, well, it's sort of a what's the word I'm looking for? A gift and a curse. Technology is what I believe is. Technology is a gift and a curse. The gift is the fact that we can travel with our whole music library anywhere we go and have it with us at all times. The curse, I believe, is the access of music is sort of a gift as well, because we can get it as much, but now everyone can get it. Back in the day, it was about what record you had, because you physically had to buy and go dig for that piece of vinyl. And when someone would play it, you're like, yo, what is that? Whoa. Now it's just like you could Shazam that cat, you could Shazam this, and you could dig it up, and so it's more accessible, but I think too many people have it, and they're claiming themselves as DJs because you have such an abundance of music, and a lot of it's garbage, and a lot of it's good at the same time. So that's that sort of gift and curse of technology, where you have it accessible, you can travel a lot, but unfortunately, quote unquote, everyone's a DJ and everyone can get the same music that you have. So you gotta challenge yourself and be better at finding things and getting things than the next guy has.
Like quality, quantity.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Dope. All right. Well, we talked earlier, this cruise, about failures and how sometimes failure is the greatest teacher, and there's not really such a thing as failure. It's just like a lesson learned. But it made me think about it, afterwards. What is your best failure moment?
Ooh, my best failure moment.
Or at least off the top,
I don't know if it's a failure moment, but it's definitely a learning moment, and I wanted to share that with you and even DJ Lily.
Yeah. What up, Lily?
What happened was, for the New Year's cruise, the New Year's set, I remember spending time putting together tracks that I wanted to play and not wanted to play. And then I remember that first hour set that I was about to drop, I was told not to play particular songs because of the characters, but my set kind of went that direction with that. So what I allowed myself to do, and this is where experience comes into play, understanding how to change on the fly. So you have something structured in a way, and you're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna play this next, this next. Or even in a b-boy battle, I'm playing this, you know, like I'm gonna go this way, and all of a sudden you're thinking a particular track is gonna rock, you know, and then it kind of falls flat. It feels like, not everyone's feeling this, but you're thinking this. So you really have to change your direction and your thought process on what it is to get everyone back on the floor. Another example of that is when you're playing at not a b-boy event, but you're at a club, and you know they're telling you at the club, or the promoters or whatever, it's this particular night, you know, it's whatever the genre is, and so you're preparing yourself for that genre, and all of a sudden you're playing and you're reading the crowd, and it's totally not that. It's totally opposite. Maybe a young group of people came in, and now they're wanting to feel, you're thinking it's a 90s throwback night, and all of a sudden a young group comes in and they're not feeling it, and they want to hear some new stuff. Depending upon the venue, because sometimes they're very strict, they want to stick to that criteria, that theme. Other times it's like, you know, you're open format and you play whatever. How are you going to adjust to that group, or those people in there who paid money to come see, to come dance, and to come have a good time? That's when you have to think, all right, now I got to need to dig deep and play some stuff that sometimes that you like, but at the same time what they'll kind of dig and feel, and that's where music knowledge comes into play, I think. So I'm not sure, and I apologize if I'm not answering the question correctly, but when I always think about failures, I always think about it as a challenge, or sometimes having to move forward in terms of style, when you're playing somewhere, when you're not getting the right direction, when you're not given the right instructions. You can either fold, or you can adapt, which, hold on, excuse me. Now I have a little bit more clarity. Here's a perfect example of thinking that I failed. Red Bull 3 style, US finals. It was the qualifier to go to the finals. I'm playing, and the bass in the venue is so loud that in my monitors it sounds distorted. So as I'm doing my set, and in Red Bull you got 15 minutes to play 3 different genres, I'm playing and I'm trying to lower the bass so I can even hear my set. But because I had practiced my set so much and I've gone over it so many times, my thought process is, when I'm competing, is never let them see you sweat, never let them see you that you're making a mistake. So although for me in my mind, I'm like, man, this sounds awful, I'm playing it off as if my set's perfect and it's flawless. Yeah. And I'm going through the motions, and I get to the end of the set and I'm throwing these handmade towels at the end of the set. You know, Jazzy Jeff's there, Z-Trip's there, all the judges are there, and I'm done, and I'm smiling, I'm doing, you know, just the confidence of a battle, right? I'm walking off stage, I go to the green room, I meet my wife, and we walk outside to get some air because the venue's packed and it's stuff. And she goes, how'd you do? How'd you feel? And I was like, total. That's when I let everything out and I exhaled, and I was like, man, I fucked up. Bass was really bad. I couldn't hear it. I was like, man, I was so, you know, I was so down on myself at that time. I was deflated. I really was. And so, but my wife goes, you look great out there. It sounded good, you know? Yeah. And that was the whole point about showing your face and showing your competition mode and being confident up there. But in the back of your mind, that was, for me, I thought it was a huge fail because it just didn't sound right. But that's where preparation comes into play. Mm-hmm. The fact that and so when they announced the winners for the qualifier, I had won, and I was like, well, it was like a big relief. Yeah. But it's because of those hours and hours and hours of being confident on stage, never letting them see you that you pulled off a wrong move or something happened and whatnot. So that's the thing I always think of when it comes to a sort of a failure. You want to fall forward, but be as confident as you possibly can, because you can only control so much. You can control your reaction to what happens.
Yeah.
So if your reaction is deflated, that you failed, the audience is going to see that. But if your reaction is like, I meant to do that, I did that, then I'm good. So that's my fondest memory of that.
Oh man, that's crazy. Well, at least you made it through.
Absolutely.
Good memory. Yeah. But that's always cool. There's a lot of people with, who become successful, and there's always those moments, and it's in the back of their head. I don't know if you told that to people, like, oh man, I thought I lost, or like, oh, I could have done that better. But I think that push is what, like,
absolutely,
brings you there. All right, cool. Now right here I have, are there any life lessons or habits or anything else that you can say you have learned through DJing?
Absolutely. There's a movement, or there's this thing that you see online a lot or whatever. It's called excuse me, what are they called? Participation trophies.
Yeah.
Okay. Participation trophies. I learned younger, being competitive in sports, in grammar school, middle school, high school, and then when I got into DJing, battling, that competitive nature, that preparation to be better on stage, I think in DJing has allowed me in life in general to be able to be more confident in endeavors that I'm not familiar with. Learning something new, and so if I'm trying to learn a new scratch or put together a new mix, a new routine, a new juggle, whatever it is I'm trying to do, it takes hours and hours and hours of practice. So anytime I'm feeling that way, when it comes to something new that I'm trying to kind of learn, I think about how that DJing is. Also, it allows me to be able to be a better teacher when it comes to stage presence. So when I do workshops for DJing, throwing events, I always bring up the confidence part, the stage presence, how important that is. Anytime that when you're meeting someone for the first time, how your handshake is. DJing has taught me that when you're on stage, you're selling yourself. You're selling yourself to the audience that you're the best there at that time, that you are the most well prepared, you're most confident DJs. When I'm doing a show, when I'm on stage, if something's not going right, whatever, nobody cares in the audience. They don't care. They want to have a good time, or they want to see you do your best. Doesn't matter what you're playing on. Doesn't matter what if your needles skip, break, scratch, whatever, you're having trouble with your laptop, you're having trouble with vinyl, anything, whatever it is, the audience doesn't care. They're looking at you to provide them with that entertainment. So I think DJing has allowed me to be able to be resourceful, confident, and be able to adapt during the most pressure situations. I think DJs allow me to do that. I have to go back too, because I was in the Army, and I know military provided me with that as well. But then when I think back, I started DJing before I was in the Army, so DJing was really the catalyst to that, to the confidence, resourcefulness, being able to troubleshoot and move forward and all those things. And then the Army kind of sharpened that as well. And then of course I kept moving forward as a DJ, and I do this full time and as my career. So definitely those traits have definitely helped me in life in general. DJing has done that for me, and I'm so grateful for that art.
That's dope. All right, well, normally we do have shutouts, or just the celebration of our predecessors or ancestors or people who came before us. Is there anyone who maybe you looked up to on the come up, or people who came before you, whether it's musicians or other DJs, or anyone when you first started that preceded you, you know, or before you, that you were like, okay, I see, I gotta not be them or be like them, but I'm gonna take a little bit of that and keep going. Is there anyone that...
Absolutely. I always shout out the pioneers, of course, you know, the definitely, you know, your Cool Hercs, Bambatas, Grandmaster Flash, you know, that's the trifecta of this DJ. Jam Master Jay was a big influence to me because I was a huge fan of Run DMC growing up. Jazzy Jeff, shout out to Jeff always, because he's still doing it today, and he's that guy that a lot of us, you know, I think he's like #1 on everyone's list. He's on mine for that, Jeff. I'm a West Coast guy, so I grew up listening to K-Day. Shout out to KDAY, 1580 AM stereo, KDAY, back in Cali, which was the first hip hop station to go 24 hours, all hip hop. Back in the day, they had the mix masters on K-Day, Julio G and Tony G. Tony G was a huge influence. I loved listening to Tony G. He was so fast on the cut. Joe Cooley, Radio and Joe Cooley, love those guys. Aladdin, of course. And then fast forward a little bit more, guys who influenced my style in terms of mixing different genres and being dope like that. Z-Trip, the one and only, Bomb Shelter DJs. Shout out to Z-Trip, of course. And then you got the Pickles, who I always look up to and proud to call them homies and friends too. Qbert, D Styles, Shortcut, Mixmaster Mike. You know, all those guys are always on my list, because for me, being a West Coast guy, I always look up to those guys and their influence in you know, my style and how I approach DJing. And with Q, it's just like life in general. with him as well, being so grounded and spiritual. And then from the roots of it all, to be quite honest, my brother, he's the reason why I became a DJ. If he didn't bring home turntables that day and teach me blending, I wouldn't be here. So shout out to my brother. So those are those are the pioneers to me.
All right. I mean, I think timeline is very important, because, you know, like, you have heroes and they have heroes. So, you know, if anyone watches this, you know, like, I'm pretty sure Akshen has influenced a few people out there.
I hope so, in a good way.
If not through what you do, you know, like, when people speak to you, at least when you speak to me, we have DJ Lily, I've seen you talk to different people about music and everything, and like, to be passionate, resourceful, knowledgeable, I think that's very inspiring as well, you know. And even if I myself am not like a DJ, it's still like you can learn things from other things.
Oh, absolutely. So, I learn a lot from b-boys all the time on how they approach, how they train, how they approach the battle, you know, and how they basically move to music. So every time I look at b-boys, poppers and lockers, and just all the elements of dance, because I play those events too, and I'm proud to do that. I'm happy to do that. It allows me to look at it in a different perspective, as opposed to just being a DJ. And so the relationship between the DJ and the dancer is it's very kinetic. There's such a big bridge. It's extremely important that the DJ understands the dancer, and how they're moving and what they're moving to, and what it is that they need to get them going. And the dancer also needs to know what the DJ's playing as well, so they can feel that. So it's a huge bridge, and it's very powerful, that energy, that give and take for both the dancer and the DJ. And I think sometimes it gets lost in translation, and at the same time, I believe that it's sometimes misconstrued, or even you know, taken for granted. But when you see the correlation work in harmony, it's a beautiful thing, man, to see events where you have the DJ just dropping the right tracks at the right time, and the dancers, you know, and the b-boys are just, it's everything in sync. It just makes the event, the battle, everything, you know, more memorable, and I think sort of a spiritual sense, if you will. And I think that's important for DJs to continue to you know, reach for that, look for that. It's not just playing the hits. It's not just playing, you know, the latest and greatest. Anyone can do that. It's really about thinking about taking risks what you can get away with in those moments to make you stand out from the next guy. That's what I'm always trying to do and be at. You know, what's that guy is doing? I was like, what am I gonna do different? Because if every single DJ's playing all the same stuff, we just sound like a, you know, an iPod or a playlist that's been pushing play. Yeah. So it's important. So DJs, always remember, you got to flex when you have a chance. Always flex. You don't want to be taken over by a playlist or an iPod or something like that. You got to show your worth and your value every time you play. So whoever's booking you, the audience, the promoters, the owners, they know like, whoa, this guy's doing something a little bit different, or he's doing something different, to show value to the places that you're playing. And when we don't flex and we don't show any type of our skill, we're just another playlist, another iPod or a pre-mix that anyone, any venue, any club, any event, bar, restaurant, whatever can play, and then you're devaluing yourself and you're devaluing true DJ culture and DJs in general. So keep that in mind anytime you have a chance. You know, flex, show some skill, so your jobs aren't taken by you know, by robots.
Definitely. I'm sure that's appreciated by those who want to do something with music, or even taking that advice as a dancer, you know, like take your risks, be different. You know, I feel like that's celebrated throughout all hip hop culture. So
absolutely.
To hear someone like you say that, like, means a lot to me. So right here, lastly, I have foundation drops, recommendations, or gems for the future, whether it's b-boys, DJs, or anything in general that you would want to let people know. Like if someone sees this years from now, or if someone eventually comes across this, what would you want them to at least take away from, you know, your words or this interview?
I do a monthly event called Fader Manners back home. Shout out to my homie Les735, who we both co-founded this event, and it was about getting, if you see something in the culture that you don't necessarily like or you want to see change, don't be the guy complaining about it, be the guy making a change, even if it's small. I started this Fader Manners about 7 years ago, and it was really a conversation I had with another DJ, my homie Les, and he's like, yo, Akshen, what do you think about doing a open turntable night? So we could just get a bunch of the homies together. We can do it on an off night where a lot of the DJs who we know are working, so they can come early. We'll just get a bunch of turntables, mixers together in a spot, and then we'll just put all, and we'll play beats, and we'll just scratch. We'll network, we'll talk shop, we'll roast each other if we have to, joke around, but at the same time, you know, learn new scratches. Do that because at the time when we thought about this, club DJing and technology was really at the height, if it wasn't already at that time, and turntablism or scratching and whatnot, it was still there, still a niche, but we felt in our area and even in our you know, in the industry itself, it felt like it was slowly dying, and we felt that we wanted to kind of give it some energy or rebirth. So we started that. Once doing that, we did it every month, and what I found, and I think the greatest pleasure I have of that, is seeing people tell us that, hey, thank you for doing this, because I just scratch in my bedroom and I don't even go out. But now there is an event that I look forward to coming to, and being able to practice and scratch with like-minded individuals, you know, who won't judge me, and I can learn from, and then we can network. And I'm seeing bedroom DJs come out of the woodworks from nowhere, and coming every month, it growing and growing and growing, and to the point where I decided at the end of the year, so we do this every month, at the end of the year I throw a all vinyl scratch battle called the Scratch Exchange that I invented and I put together. Shouts out to Battle Avenue for giving me that inspiration, Antrix and the homies from the Bay. So Battle Avenue did a battle called Cut the Weight, and I decided, hey, I wanted to take a piece of that and do something on my own, and I created the Scratch Exchange. So what's great is these guys who come out of the woodworks from their bedrooms or whatever, they'll go to a Fader Manners every month and network, scratch, get better, and then all of a sudden at the end of the year, I throw the scratch exchange, they compete, and then now they have a platform for their progression. So a lot of DJs, you know, they go, oh yeah, I'm practicing, I'm doing this, it's fun, it's great, but where is this going? What am I going to do with this? And sometimes some people, they need something else, and I get it. You know, we're human. Other times that's just enough, and sometimes we're hoping that is just enough to be able to share, be in a group and learn. But sometimes competition, goes back to the other. You need that. You know, we're fueled by that. So when I have when I have Scratch Exchange at the end of the year, a lot of these guys come in and they start competing and they start scratching and battling each other at the end, and they get better. And I love seeing the progression of guys through the months, and then at the end of it, and then even through the years, because I've been doing this for 7 years, guys who've just gotten so much better because they have something to look forward to, and they have something to progress with that. So that's something that I'm extremely proud of and love to do. And then throw events like Scratch Exchange. The new one that I just threw was Cut the Weight, that has weight classes. Shout out to Worth the Weight, to House and Johnny for and sparking that for me. So things like that, for me, I always tell people who complain about something that in their culture, in their industry, that they don't like, to start something small and change. Now I have Fader Manners in another city up north, in Flagstaff. Shout out to Kip Killigan and the crew up there. I have Fader Manners in Tucson. Shout out to Touch and Jamazon for throwing it out there. So, you know, it's constantly growing because we do it for the love. There's no money involved in that, as much as we would love to have it. And shout out to Chuck and Trill for always housing us at their spot and letting us use Trill to do that. So shout out to those guys for always, you know, supporting the culture and supporting, you know, just DJing in general and hip hop. So I'm always looking for people to look other ways to stop complaining and make changes that they want to see, even if it's the smallest, because the smallest change can be the biggest spark, and it can grow and grow and grow. So keep that in mind. Like if I hear a lot of DJs complain, like, oh man, all they want to play is top 40 or pop or whatever it is at these clubs. Well, then throw your own night. Start a night. It doesn't mean that it's going to be the best and biggest night or whatever. You trying to get paid all this money, whatever. Find a spot and say, hey, I'm a DJ. I want to throw a night. Can we do this here? And, you know, promote it. Get your homies if you think it's going to be big and good, and you do that. Look and follow people who are successful and doing these things. See if you can shadow them. See if you can ask for advice from them. People are always kind to want to help. In general, I mean, there's a few assholes out there. I get it. A few haters out there, but you know, 9 times out of 10, everyone's willing to help if you're genuine about why you're doing it and what you want. You know, so think about that when you're asking for help and asking for someone to, you know, to give you some advice. It's not always about trying to take things. What can you offer? So if you're gonna go to a spot and go, yo, I want to throw this myself, and I don't know who you are, and all of a sudden you're asking for all these things, like, whoa, you know. If I have homies, people come every month, they're there supporting. Yo, what's up, Action? Yeah, yo, what's up? Hey, it's dope, it's dope. There all the time, supporting. They're not asking for anything. They're there for support, showing face, showing, you know, reposting your Facebook event or Instagram flyer or whatever it is, right? Because they want to support your event. Those types of things are important, especially in the social media age that we live in right now. When I see people repost all my stuff, yo, man, people from Cali, all these different places, I remember that. I always remember that. Like, yo, I'm going to support their stuff too and repost them and make sure that I support them. When you support other people, in order for you to get what you want, you have to help others get what they want first. It's a cycle.
Yo, Action, we almost forgot. We gotta give shout outs to people, you know, who we love and adore and, you know, we're a part of. So before we go officially, is there anyone you want to show love to, say what up to, or anything?
Oh, absolutely, man. I want to give a shout out first off to my crew, Fear Styles crew. Big shout out to FSC worldwide. Also to Coolin' Out DJ Squad, Trill, all the homies back home, Fader Manners, Cut the Weight, Scratch Exchange. Also want a big shout out to my wife, my foundation. Without her, nothing is possible, because on the days that I feel like it is work, she has my back all the time. I love you, hun. All my kids, I love you guys. And anyone out there who just wants to be inspired, man, keep following us. Make sure you check us out. My homie Backspace right here.
All right, thanks, sir.
Always. Everyone in hip hop culture, man, just keep you know, follow us. Follow me on Instagram, DJ Akshen, DJ AKSHEN, on IG, Facebook, website as well, MySpace. Man, we still use MySpace? No, I'm just kidding. Twitter, Pinterest, all that stuff.
Everything, right?
Everything, man. So it's DJ Akshen. And I'm always happy to answer any kind of questions anyone has, man. I always try to give back. Just, you know, just remember to be blessed, fight stress, make more out of less, and always be your best.
Word. We appreciate that so much. Thanks so much, Broski. I appreciate it much. And in closing, you already know we love you all. We hope that this helps with anything. Feel free to hit us up. You have our info right there. Do what you love what you do. Be inspired. We support you. We love you all. And hopefully we'll catch you soon. Peace.